Welcome back to The Contender. I'm Congresswoman Erin Houchin, and today I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Congressman Blake Moore. Blake serves on the House Ways and Means Committee and is also part of House Republican leadership, serving as the vice chair of the conference. We work closely together on a lot of issues impacting families, children, and the future of this country. Today, we're talking about the working families tax cuts, including Trump accounts and the expanded child tax credit, as well as Blake's legislation focused on childhood independence. Congressman, welcome to The Contender.
Thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
It's great to be with you. We have been serving in House leadership for this Congress. I think you have been serving in House leadership since last Congress.
Yeah, most of last Congress.
You are our vice chair. Could you talk to us a little bit about your role as the vice chair of the conference and the work we do together in leadership?
Well, it's most famously known for the position that Mike Johnson held before he was
That's right.
forced into
immediately
being our speaker.
Before he became
so
our
let's
speaker.
hope that doesn't happen again. That's what we're kind of all hoping for. Vice chair is a unique role. Like every position of our leadership, so there's about 7 individual pieces of positions of leadership in the House Republican Conference, and they all have a specific role, right? So secretary has specific items that you're responsible for, same here. So vice chair is about individualized messaging opportunities. So our conference chair handles sort of the macro messaging and making sure people are capturing what are what are the points that we're needing to highlight, particular legislation that we're working on and how it's benefiting Americans. And my job is to make sure members are supported to have what they need to go out and actually communicate that message to their individual districts. And there's a million different ways you can do that, right? You can do floor speeches, but also more like news, media outlets working directly with them in their local districts, sending out pieces of mail that will communicate sort of like, wait, what is it that people are facing right now, and how are we supporting
and
them?
is most important to their districts back home.
Exactly.
You spend a lot of time.
Professional development's another piece too.
Oh,
So we
yeah,
have a
yeah.
cool event today with experts coming in and trying to give a broad perspective.
So you give people an opportunity often to speak on the floor during what we call special order hours, and that puts you on the House floor at least once a week.
A lot, yeah.
And you give those opportunities to the conference, and we're grateful for the time that you spend doing that. That is a commitment for the conference that you have given, not just in helping craft the messages, but also providing those opportunities for members to have ample time to have access to the House floor to talk about those
It's
things.
good for constituents from across the country to see their member of Congress being able to, speak on pretty hallowed ground, right? So it's one of those things that we take for granted because we get a chance to go speak and debate certain bills here or there. But when you think about it, it's like that's the people's house, the House floor, and you be able to kind of deliver a message. And
Yeah.
so I appreciate the chance to do it.
And a lot of the work that you've been doing on Ways and Means, that's one of the most important committees. I think Chairman Jason Smith would say it's the most
He'd say it's
important
the most,
committee.
yeah, of course.
I
agree with
serve
him.
on the most important committee, which is Energy and Commerce. There is a healthy rivalry, I think, between the two committees.
Those are the only two, really.
Really, those are
Yeah,
the only
those are
two.
the two
Those
that
are about
we
the only two. That's right. We'll keep it at that.
Yeah.
We'll agree on that. But the Working Families Tax Cuts Act was one of the most consequential pieces of legislation that certainly we've passed since I've been in Congress. You had a major role in that legislation on the Trump accounts piece. What are Trump accounts for our listeners who don't know back home? And how can people access this? And what does it mean for families?
I'm so excited to be able to talk about this, especially now we're leading up to July 4th, 2026, our 250th. And this initiative that started, I don't know, probably, it's been kind of a thought in the policy discussions for a long time, but a group led by a guy named Brad Gerstner.
Who's a Hoosier?
several others. He is a Hoosier. He is very much a Hoosier. It always comes back to that. Congratulations, Hoosiers. You had a really good year this year.
Do you see this over here, what I have?
love it.
Yeah.
So, from the coach, right?
Yeah.
Heisman Mendoza.
That's right.
So I get to attend the Heisman ceremony. I have
That's
for
right.
the last 25 years. And I couldn't go this year, but I've been seen everywhere, for the last 25 years. And that speech he gave
Yeah.
was something we showed our boys over and over. Like that was impressive. So can't go any further without mentioning that.
It was incredible and
neat.
just an amazing story. I recently got to spend time with the author of the movie Hoosiers,
Nice.
and I told him that he needs to go ahead and write this story.
This is a new one. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
a new Hoosier. It
What a
was
story.
great. It's inspiring. My boys now they have a tough game. They can know that so did the Heisman Trophy when he was 13 years old. He wanted to quit, right?
Well, I do want to get back to Trump accounts, but I have a question for you about your work on Ways and Means as we're talking about football. So you had the opportunity, we have opportunities sometimes to have famous people come before the committees to testify, and Brett Favre came to
Brett
testify
Favre.
in front of the Ways and Means Committee. And I think I would say you famously told Brett Favre that you won the high school Heisman. And you are a high school Heisman winner.
Yeah,
So
there's a big difference.
Is there?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I think I may have tried to draw equivalency to his, MVP-ness and Super Bowl and everything to
Yeah,
like my
to the high school
my-
Heisman, yeah.
Yeah, to the glory days,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
were no comparison to anything of merit like that. But he got a chuckle out of it. So
That's awesome.
It was good. It was a fun thing to do. But here we're talking about something monumental. Talking about something that is going to change the way we think about investing and the way we prepare for the future. I put it on par with like the concept of coming up with 401ks. Like that fundamentally changed the way that we were thinking about how we're working now to save for later.
Yeah.
And what this is Brad Gerstner, as you mentioned, he led this initiative called Invest America, and it's now, as it's passed into law, it's called Trump Accounts. The form is the Form 4547, and every child born in the United States in the next 4 years, starting from all the way from last year in 2025, for the next 4 years, will be seated with a $1,000 account that they can go ahead, that will automatically be invested. And for the next 18 years, they have the opportunity to put money into it. Then there'll be a portion of it that they could take out to help with some schooling or starting a business or pay for something like that. But the majority of it still is going to be, the plan is we're going to start saving for retirement at the age of 0, as opposed to when we typically would at the age of 30, when you would start your own Roth IRA or your own 401k. We want people thinking about their retirement from day one. And so we're going to seed these accounts, starting basically little babies. I call them baby capitalists, thinking about how to compound interest work. And we add on an additional 30 years on the front end. We're going to be able to hedge against some failing retirement systems and concerns that I have about many of our programs for that next generation. And so they start these accounts. Any child can start them. Anybody under the age of 18, you can get an account. If you're born the next 4 years, you get $1,000 seeded. But any kid that's under age 10 is likely going to get a $250 seeded account too from benefactors like the Michael and Susan Dale Foundation. I mean, they contributed $6 billion to this initiative to help fund these accounts, to have them start. And it's not the $1,000 or the $250. It's the fact that now companies, most recently Edward Jones, and many other companies are already saying, hey, we're going to match this. We're going to actually start contributing to our employees' Trump accounts for their kids. So you're a working professional, you have 2 kids, and all of a sudden your company now is going to be able to start contributing to these accounts. That is basically just helping this next generation save for retirement. It's kind of a paradigm shift in thinking, okay, we've been good about starting to save for retirement when you get your first job and you pay off some of your student loans and you can start your 401k. Now we're starting kids at the age of 0.
It's really amazing. It's an issue that we'd been working on together for a few months leading up to the One Big Beautiful Bill. And what we're trying to do, in my view, is change the retirement Social Security structure more from a defined benefit plan to a defined contribution plan, and really being invested in the private market in a way that is well before someone is close to retirement age, well before when they're born.
It's the only way to address this.
And I think that is the only way we're going to address the future of Social Security. So I'm grateful for your leadership on that. Of course, Mr. Gerstner has been a vocal advocate and the chief architect of this, and President Trump has recognized that. I think it's going to change the future of retirement. You mentioned when kids get their first job. When my daughter was 14, she got her first job and brought home her paycheck and said, "Who the heck is FICA, and why do I have to?
FICA,
Why do I have to give them my money?" I said, "Welcome to our side of the aisle."
That's good.
But the Trump accounts are critical, I think, to do that. And you have just been such a champion of this and really helped lead that through the Ways and Means
we've had
Committee.
529 accounts, and those are awesome. Those I still contribute to my kids' 529 accounts. But I'm going to start Trump accounts for all 4 of my boys. I even famously joked, but I joked. I got to give the press conference, be a part of the press conference at the White House. And Michael and Susan Dale were sitting right behind me, and they just announced $6.25 billion. $6.6 billion. And I go, and I can't let that go unmatched today and not recognize how important how amazing that was. So I'm announcing today that I'm going to be doing for all 4 of my children $60 to start their kids. And I like look back and I like, oh, I hope they got the joke. And President Trump was laughing, and I'm like, all right, I nailed it. But it's like just a little bit at a time can make a huge difference. And if you start putting $100 in to a 5-year-old's account, like it's going to compound over time, and it's going to be far more beneficial than giving that kid $5,000 when they get their first job.
Yeah. So anybody can create a Trump account and put money in it. The government's going to put in for newborns now for the next 4 years.
For the next 4 years. Hopefully we extend that out and we can see value in the program and everything. But there'll be seeded accounts for the newborn. But the most important part is your 7-year-old. Go get them signed up. Go to TrumpAccounts.org. Go fill out the form, and then on July 4th, these things will kick in. You'll be able to monitor the accounts. Guardians can I always have time of a look at it. And then once they get to 18 and beyond and 25, there'll be unique opportunities, moving it into an IRA, that kind of stuff. So there'll be a lot of work on it.
Is there anything that people need to do with respect to Trump accounts with their accountants or when they file their taxes?
So what's cool about the tax piece right now, even when you go and do your TurboTax, there's hey, have you signed up for one of these? There's like a little bit of a catalyst to getting people to sign up for them. There will be tax benefits to contributing to these. Companies actually get some tax benefits. So yeah, so you'll need to make sure that there's communication about what you're having there. But for the most part, these are just going to be growing like an IRA, if you will. And there's not a lot to deal with it until you actually liquidate some of that. And my encouragement to people is don't look at the value of this from 0 to 18. Look at the value of this from 0 to 60. 50 years old, you're going to see these things grow if you don't try to, take advantage of it too early.
Yeah, that's great. So if a child is born this year and they want to sign up for a Trump account, they do have to proactively participate in the program and sign up for that. And is that best done through the website?
Yeah, there's also some things like at hospitals and birth certificates and things that you can check. So we're trying to, Treasury's doing a great job of making it as easy as possible
to get people
So there
to sign
will
up.
be multiple opportunities that you'll be kind of prompted about this, but it's very simple. TrumpAccounts.org and go sign up.
And we will put the link here on the podcast so people can access it easily too.
That's going to be fun to see it play out over the next little while. And I got 4 young boys, and it's going to be, I'm going to watch them be like, hey, did you see last year you had $275 and this year you had $350 and you did virtually nothing?
Yeah.
That's what compound interest is. That's what you're investing in the American economy, and it will benefit you later in your life.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for that work. And then also on the expanded child tax credit.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
It's going to go down to $1,000.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we didn't get that bill done? And when in Congress do we get something done 6 months before the deadline?
Almost never. In
Almost
fact, my
never.
husband the other day told me, when you go back to Washington this week, could you just talk to leadership about not doing things at the last minute? I'm like, wait,
honey,
we are leadership.
I get those same conversations all the time.
Congress does tend to operate on deadlines, and maybe some of that's by design, but
The
we
child
didn't
tax
do
credit
that
was
on
going
this.
to go back to $1,000 if we didn't get that done. We got it done last July. We didn't just double it. We increased it to inflation, and then we indexed it. So it'll be at $2,200, and it will be indexed to inflation. So we never have the threat of that really going back. So we're going to signal to the American families, hey, we want you to invest in families. We want you to grow. We want you to have some relief for doing the right thing, the responsible thing. And so that's going to be a boon and some sense of confidence or like consistency, knowing, hey, we've got this and it's not going to ever be decreased. I mean, So we kind of pushed for as much of an increase on that as we possibly could. But tying it to inflation just gives a little bit of sense of confidence, knowing it's not going to just revert back to $1,000 one day. So
Yeah, that's great. So families can rely on that.
I'm from the youngest state in the nation, like by a factor of a couple years. So
He's a Utahn.
Utah. We're uniquely have large families and family oriented. Like we've talked before, you have a very family oriented society as well, and we want to invest, making sure the families have like the incentive to continue and do the right thing for what our
and encourage families to grow. Fewer and fewer people are having children, I think, because financially it can be, it can be difficult. So this expanded child tax credit permanently is really important. We also extended all of the Trump tax cuts for small businesses permanently into the future. One of the things that maybe the American people don't know is that had we not done the Working Families Tax Cuts Act last July and signed that into law, how much of a tax increase would the average American family have seen this year if we had not taken that action?
And conversely, what we're seeing, instead of going up thousands of dollars, we're seeing bigger refunds, but we're also seeing revenue growth still take place. And that's the tricky part about this, because it's very easy for Democrats to take a convenient line. Oh, tax benefits for the billionaires to cut, your services. It's just not true. And what you see is we got, first off, any type of tax benefit that we created in 2017, Republicans in 2017, and that we just made permanent, has always been focused on middle and lower income Americans, right? We actually income cap virtually everything. So all of the child tax credit or things related to SALT and everything, they all have income caps. So if you make more than $300,000, $400,000 a year, you're not even going to take it to, get access to this type of tax relief. So that's just factual, and it flies in the face of what our Democrat colleagues always sort of say about this. But what we're also seeing is when you put that tax rate in a competitive band, Americans, we don't even have to be the lowest tax rate in the world, but if we're competitive with other OECD nations, we actually see a lot more investment going back into the U.S. economy, and our economy grows and revenue grows, right? And so we've seen strong revenue growth since 2017. So if these types of tax reform and tax cuts are supposed to create a bunch of deficits, well,
why are we seeing
revenue? Why are we seeing revenue growth? We're seeing deficits because we didn't plan for our aging population, and we're not ready for that, and too many welfare programs are ever expanding. Right?
That's which is why the Trump accounts are so important to fix it for the future.
It's hedging against something that's just not making mathematical sense anymore.
Yeah. But in the remaining time that we have, I'd like you to talk about the work that you're doing on promoting childhood independence. It's an issue that we're working on together, and then also on preventing doom scrolling. The classic thing that I think kids and adults are suffering from.
Oh, and they're watching us.
So we're working on some guidelines for the Surgeon General to release on safe scrolling for kids and time limits and what those recommendations are. But how does that tie into the work that you're doing on childhood independence, and how are those two issues tied together?
Well, I'm not qualified to be our Surgeon General, but I will say less time.
Less time. That's right. Yeah, we know that.
Hey, American kids, American adults, and parents, less time scrolling is highly recommended.
Put
Take
your phone down, go
Blake
outside.
Moore Surgeon General warning.
Right.
And it's tough as a parent because you have to find something to replace it.
Yeah.
Because it's ubiquitous, it's there for them, and you got to be more proactive in doing it. And now that kind of summer's rolling in, it's a little easier for my wife and I to be able to, hey, get outside, go jump on the tramp, go shoot hoops, kind of stuff like that. Yeah. But it's tough. But the roam free, the resilience piece. This is a fascinating concept. So we just want our kids to be able to have some independence. Get out, wander the neighborhood, go over to the buddy's house, and not feel like parents should not feel like if they're, hey, go down to the park and play for a little while, or hey, run to the convenience store and go grab something, that would be considered neglect. Right? And so we're seeing states do this. Utah has done this. I give a ton of credit to the work that Utah's done out ahead of this. That's where the work needs to sort of be implemented. And as we look at it and say, okay, there's federal statute that needs to be clarified that parents are not going to be accused of or convicted of or have to deal with being considered neglect for basic childhood play.
Yeah.
And being able to get out and kind of take the bike out.
Explore a little bit.
Explore a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, we used to go down to the park for hours.
Yeah.
You know, our parents knew where we were. Nowadays, actually, the advent of technology and the ubiquity of it is actually a really good thing because I know where my kids are a little bit more.
Yeah.
And we can sort of let the
Much
helicopter
different than when we were growing up, when we had really free roam
It
ability.
was true free roam back then. We
Yeah,
were
it was
down at
really,
the
we
pond.
were,
I was
yeah.
at Goose Pond all
They
the
were
time.
like, leave and don't come back till dark.
And then when we yell for you and the street lights come
Right.
on, and then
It's
you
time to
come home and eat and you can
Yeah,
go back out
and you go
play
back outside.
play
That's
night
exactly
gig.
right. And if you don't eat, my parents would bring the dinner to the yard. So
Yeah,
So-
drink out of the hose kind of
That's
stuff.
right.
So we need to make sure that still is, happening
Yeah.
with our kids. It's a healthy part of growing up. But parents don't need to be concerned. So there's federal statute that we need to make sure to clarify the concept of neglect, and that's where we play a federal role. But I think states are doing a good job picking this up.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I have a final question quickly. This podcast is called The Contender. We always ask our guests to identify a contender in your life, someone who has put forward a positive attitude and fought for things that they really care about that are important, and set an example for you. Who is a contender in your life? Tell us a story about that person and why.
Yeah, I knew that was the title of this, and I struggled to think of somebody because I don't want it to just be politics. And obviously, I would put my wife in any one of these things where I admire. But I was thinking about a lady named Meg, who was our son's speech therapist, and she has kind of blown through some barriers back home, helping children with neurodivergent autism. We have a boy that is on the spectrum, and she has been amazing in an individual basis for him, but she's doing big things in the community with Culture City, our sensory rooms, things like that are pretty neat. That my son gets to be a star because his video is at the Salt Lake Airport because he was part of opening up a
that's
sensory
amazing.
room. Pretty neat experience, and she just looked at it and like, we need to have this be more a part and be more well known. So she works with individual schools. And so I was thinking that, and Meg popped into my head as somebody that really fights through it's tough. Adversity's out there because it's like the status quo is so much adversity, and she's willing to kind of push through and made a lot of cool things possible for our family and many other kids with that are going through this.
Well, that sounds like Meg is quite an inspiration, which is exactly what we want.
The school teachers and everybody that interacts with Winnie has his best interests in mind, and they fight for him all the time, and he's progressing like we couldn't believe. So
I love that. Well, thanks so much for being here. It's great to be with you. Thanks for your
thanks
leadership.
for having me, and thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
To all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode. Don't forget to subscribe, share the podcast, and stay inspired to contend, work hard, and have fun. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.